So it's Sunday evening, and in preparation for the week ahead, I wanted to make something that is healthy, easy to make, relatively inexpensive, something that I could make a lot of so that I could have it for lunch or dinner throughout the week, and of course something that tastes good. So tonight I'm going to show you how to prepare a vegetarian chili. Now this is a dish that is composed almost entirely of vegetables, and then we add beans as our source of protein, and it's an excellent source of iron. All in all, this dish takes about 40 minutes to make. So before we get started, we're going to go over everything that you need, and you can find a list of all the items in the comments section of this video. So first, you're going to need a cooking pot. This is a pretty average size. It holds about 6 liters, which is more than enough. And I also have a strainer, which makes it easy to wash the beans since they are canned and you will want to wash them before you use them. Now going to our ingredients, I have a can of red kidney beans, a can of black beans. I have 2 cans of pureed tomato. It's important that they're pureed because this is going to be the base for your chili. I have 1 can of diced tomatoes. And then I have cilantro, a yellow squash. I have 2 zucchinis because they were small. And then I got 3 peppers. You can have any peppers that you want, red, green, yellow, orange, doesn't matter. I have 1 average sized onion, and I have 3 cloves of garlic. Now if you like spicy food, you might also want to add a hot pepper, but if not, it's totally up to you. Now going to our seasonings, we simply have salt, pepper, cumin, a bay leaf, and again, if you like spicy food, I have cayenne pepper, and I also have some crushed red pepper. Up to you. And the last thing that you'll need is olive oil. You can also use vegetable oil, canola oil, honestly any oil that you like. Doesn't really matter. So the first thing you want to do is going to get all these ingredients, and then you're going to want to wash your vegetables. Now an easy tip for you is to get a spray bottle and fill it up with distilled white vinegar. I keep this by my sink, and this is an easy way to clean your vegetables. You just spray them once, and then you wash off the vinegar, and it's the perfect way to kill all viruses, bacteria, any germs that you don't want on your food. So go do that, and then we'll get started cooking, okay? So now that you have all your ingredients, our first step is going to be to mince the garlic and the onion. We're then going to take that and cook it in the pot with some olive oil for a few minutes before we add our tomato puree base. Now I have 2 bowls here, one for the onion and one for the garlic, and the reason for that is that I find the onion cooks longer than the garlic does, and I don't want the garlic to burn. So since we're going to add them at separate times, I think it's easiest to keep them separate. So let's get started. So first I cut off the 2 ends of the onion. Just throw that out. And now I'm going to cut this in half and mince it. And now I'm going to do the same for the garlic. So when you're done, you'll have 1 bowl of onions minced and 1 bowl of garlic minced. And you can set these on the side until we use them later. So now we're going to cook our garlic and our onion, and then we're going to add our tomato puree. So first, you're going to want to turn on your stove and add whichever oil you're using. Once that heats up, add the onions and let that cook for about 3 to 5 minutes. Next, add the garlic and let that all cook together until the onions start to turn clear. Be sure to mix it every now and then so that nothing burns. Once the onions start to turn clear, you can add your tomato puree and your diced tomatoes. It might be easiest to open the cans before you start cooking. Let's go. So now you're going to want everything to reduce. add 1 bay leaf, bring everything in the pot to a simmer, and let that cook for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you're going to add your 2 cans of washed beans and let that cook for an additional 5 minutes, totaling 20 minutes. So now, while everything in the pot is reducing, we're going to take our remaining vegetables, our pepper, our zucchini, and our yellow squash, and we're going to cut them up into bite-sized pieces, and we're just going to put them in one bowl because we're going to add them all together at the very end. So starting with the pepper. Now an easy way to cut the pepper is to cut the top off and then to cut it diagonally down, kind of like you're coring an apple in 4 different directions. And then by the end, you just peel off the seeds. So you can do that for the other 2. Alright, and next we're going to take our zucchini and do the same thing with the squash, just small bite-sized pieces. I think it's easiest if you cut it down the middle like that into 2 halves. And then again, those into halves, so now you have 4 halves. And then just cut them vertically in very small pieces. Push that to the side. So again, you cut off the top and the bottom. So you cut it in half. And then you cut those in half. So you have 4 quarters. And then you just cut those down into small pieces. Now the last thing you're going to do is you're going to mince your cilantro, and if you want it to be spicy, your 1 hot pepper. So what I did is I took about, I can't tell if you could tell, but just a handful of cilantro. I'm going to cut off the bottom stems, just throw that out. And now the rest of it I'm just going to mince up, same way you did the garlic and the onion. Just, you want it to small pieces. And the last piece of the puzzle is the hot pepper. I would just advise that you're careful because if it gets under your fingernails, it really burns. So I just take out the middle part, the seeds, and then just like the cilantro, I'm just going to cut it into really small pieces. And we'll add it to the bowl, and we'll be all set. Now that everything's been cooking for at least 20 minutes, it's time to add the rest of the vegetables. Simply mix them into the pot and stir. Let that sit for about 5 minutes. As vegetables are exposed to extreme heat, they start to lose a lot of their nutritional content, so I don't like to let them cook for longer than 5 minutes, just enough time for them to get soft. Lastly, you're going to add your spices and your seasonings. Add salt, pepper, and a little bit of cumin until you get the taste that you like. I think it's kind of fun to experiment with this. If you like spicy food, add some crushed red pepper and cayenne pepper. I always suggest adding everything in small amounts because you can always add more. Once you do this, you're all set and ready to eat. So now that you know how to make your own vegetarian chili, try it out and see how it goes. And then I challenge you to come up with your own recipe for a healthy, inexpensive, easy to make vegetarian dish.